taking off the gloves, I've had enough, it's in my blood. I was born for this.
Welcome to the show, guys. Joe Camo, the fantasy football counselor. Huge episode here. We're talking NFL preview, prediction, and playoff picture going to NFL Week 17. I love this time of season, Tom. Fantasy football is over for most people because, again, you don't want to run a championship up to Week 17 because a lot of players rest. For example, Big Ben is talking about resting this week. So we got everything for you. My conspiracy theory on the playoff Super Bowl, playoff picture, and, of course, the Super Bowl. Everything right here, right now. Before we get into this, guys, you have a chance to win a live Zoom call with Chris CJ2K Johnson. All you got to do is pre-order 16-round draft solution. So it's a win-win situation. You're not only going to win your fantasy league, but you're also going to have a chance to win a live Zoom call with a future Hall of Famer, Chris CJ2K Johnson. Pre-order below or head on over to thefantasyfootballaccounts.com. I've also launched Fantasy 365, an amazing community. Guys, we understand with the world situation, it's tough to do things now. Immerse yourself in a community for fantasy football. We talk 365 days a year. Fantasy 365. And if you pre-order that as well, you get a chance to do a live Zoom call with Chris Johnson. 10 winners announced at halftime or after the Super Bowl. And again, the Zoom call will be on February 9th with Chris Johnson. 10 winners. All you got to do is pre-order 16 rounds or Fantasy 365 at the lowest price of the year. Tom, how's it going, man? All that talk, I didn't even really introduce you. What's happening?
What's going on?
All right, NFL playoff picture. Let's talk about it. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the Steelers. I'm wondering if some of these teams are really the real deal. Okay, so we got the Steelers in there. We've got, who else we got here? We got the Bills. We got the Chiefs. We've got all these teams on the AFC that have clinched. Those three teams, Bills, Chiefs, Steelers. Then we've got the guys in the hunt, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Colts in the bubble. Then the NFC, we got the Packers, Saints, Seahawks, Bucks, Washington, Rams, Bears, Arizona, Cardinals, Cowboys, and Giants on the bubble. And the guys, again, Washington, Rams, Bears, in the hunt. But again, when you look at the guys that clinched, is there any powerhouses here that really pop out to you?
I mean, you have the obvious Chiefs, and then you have the Bills. The Bills have won 5 in a row, and 8 of their last 9. Their only loss was that Hail Mary at the end, so it really should be 9 in a row. I mean, they're on fire. I don't know if they're going to play the start. You know, Allen's playing next week. I didn't know if they announced that yet or whatever. I know Pittsburgh announced their Roethlisberger's not playing. So, I mean, they're on fire. And, you know, this year, unfortunately, the second seed does not get a bye. So they're going to go right into the playoffs. This is kind of like their bye. And I would look for them to come in and play, you know, the last team in. But the last team in could be just as good as, you know, the 4th seed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-5 teams. And they could all have 11 wins at the end of the season. It's crazy.
I have a real problem with the Steelers resting Big Ben when they're playing the Browns. Browns are still in the hunt. Why would the Steelers give the Browns a chance to win this thing?
Because the Steelers, the second seed doesn't matter as much this year because there's no bye. So they're like, you know, they don't. I think it's more to risk injury and give him a week off. This like same as Buffalo. They're in. This is our bye. We basically have a bye. Basically, the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 seeds right now. This is the playoffs for them. So that doesn't mean if you lose, you're out. But one of these teams is not getting in the playoffs. Pittsburgh is like, hey, this is our bye. Let's prepare for, you know, next week's opponent, and the next opponent, even though we don't have them yet. I don't think it matters to them if it's Cleveland, Indy, Baltimore. I mean, they've actually beat Cleveland. They beat Baltimore. They beat Indianapolis.
I think they're scared of Baltimore.
They beat the Titans. They beat all these playoff teams except the Dolphins.
They're not scared of the Browns. I think they want the Browns to get in because they're not scared of the Browns. They're scared. I think they're scared of the Ravens. Would that be a good theory?
I think they don't really care. I think they want a healthy Ben because if Ben gets hurt, they're screwed. And he's, you know, he hasn't looked good a couple weeks ago. I think he's had some nagging injuries throughout the season, recently. I think they just need him healthy. Honestly, I think that's all they really care about, being completely healthy for the playoff game.
My conspiracy theory is I think genuinely the Chiefs are going to be playing the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. Young versus old. Brady is going to be handed a last Super Bowl. We saw it with Ray Lewis. We saw it with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning should not have won that Super Bowl, period. He was throwing beach balls out there. He sucked that game. It was a defense that held him in. Cam Newton didn't look like he was trying. I think the fix is in here. Brady has got this ironically, this year, then Brady's there. It's a superpower team, but the Bucs were nothing for years. When have the Bucs ever made it this far or have a chance to win the Super Bowl? Like they're just not like now. All of a sudden, they're an all-star team.
Well, they have a better quarterback. They had they had a top defense last year. He put them over the edge for sure, but they're only 10-5. I mean, they can finish 10-6, 11-5. I mean, they're going to have the 5 seed most likely. They're not going to have a home game, but they will be playing the NFC East winner most likely in the first round. Can you ask for a better matchup than that? No, you can't.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's like an easier path.
Yep.
And then after that, I mean, it just matters who you play after that, but you're looking at right now, it's I don't know if it's the Bears or the Cardinals or the Rams. I mean, it's a kind of disaster in the NFC. The Rams, they stink right now. They have no quarterback next week.
Right.
McVay's doing a terrible, terrible job coaching. The Bears, Trubisky, I mean, it makes you think, why did they bench him in the first place? I think they were 3-0 when they benched him. You know, they're 8-7 right now. And he's throwing the ball well, better than he ever has. So the Cardinals, I mean, they're the 8th seed right now, still fighting for a spot. I told you the Cardinals stink before. They're a mediocre team. They were like, good record. Everyone was like, oh, Kyler Murray this. No, Kyler Murray's not that. He's, he dropped a bomb last week, lost to San Francisco. San Francisco's still a tough team, but a lot of injuries. And I just think Tampa Bay, as long as they can avoid New Orleans, I think they can beat Seattle and beat Green Bay in this division.
So looking at these matchups, Arizona Cardinals, that's going to be a huge matchup here. So who do you think takes that in a must-win situation here? That's a tough one.
Well, Arizona's playing the Rams right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams don't have a quarterback.
Yep.
I mean, they just don't. I don't think the Rams have a decent defense, but the Cardinals aren't that good, and they don't have a defense either. I mean, the Cardinals, talk about disappointment from people. They're 1, 2, 3, 4. They lost 4 out of their last 6, right? And their only 2 wins are against 2 NFC East teams. They're not a great football team. They're not even a good football team.
No.
They're mediocre at best. So the Rams, the problem is, I don't know if they're going to be able to score points. Sean McVay's not doing a good job coaching this year.
Not at all.
I mean, I don't know how much Rams you've watched. I mean, they'll come out and they'll win a big game. They'll beat the Buccaneers. Then they'll lose to the Niners, and
the Jets.
Yeah, and the Seahawks just are a better team than them right now at this stage. But man, I just don't think, I don't know the backup quarterback for I forgot who it is who's starting this week, but I mean, you have to go with the Cardinals when you don't have your starting quarterback. You have to. I mean, it's funny because we don't think the Dolphins are that great, but they beat up the Rams. I mean, I'm telling you, like I say, the Rams coaching is not good this year on the offensive side of the ball. It's a failure for what they have, and the skill players they have. I just think it's a failure this year.
So again, I'm looking at this here, and when you look at the Chiefs, Bills, and Steelers, who is the best team out of that? Again, the Bills look like the real deal. Diggs, Josh Allen connecting, looking really good. Then you look at the Steelers, and again, I think there's some holes in the game. The fact that they lost to Cincinnati really turns me off. The Chiefs and Bills, I think they're the best 2 teams on this side. There is some contenders, you could say Ravens, Dolphins, like you said, but I think it's a clear cut for me. Either the Chiefs or Bills take it on this side. I don't see it any other way. I just don't. I mean, the Steelers moving to the Bengals, that was enough for me to say these guys are overrated. I know it's one game, but you can't lose to the Bengals if you want to win the AFC and if you want to potentially win the Super Bowl. You just can't do it. You can't do it.
Well, the playoffs only take one game. Remember last year, Baltimore was the hottest team, but they lost to the Titans, a 9-7 team last year, right? So, I mean, but what worries me about the Chiefs, and has worried me all year long, they've had a lot of close games, starting with week 2 against the Chargers. I think that was an overtime game. The Panthers, the Raiders twice. That was one of their losses. Even the Buccaneers came back at the end. The Broncos were close recently. The Dolphins came back at the end. The Saints, the Falcons almost won. Young Hoo Koo, your boy. He had that kick deflected at the end, and he never misses, but they said it was deflected. Those games, you cannot keep winning those games. So they worry me in the playoffs. Buffalo is on fire. Pittsburgh is dangerous because they can beat any team, okay? I'm not going to say I don't think the Dolphins can beat any team, or I don't even think Tennessee is as good anymore. Yeah, the Browns, I don't think they're on that level. You're right. The Ravens if Lamar can run the ball and gets out the pocket and there's not a good defensive strategy against him, he, even though I think he's overrated the way, and obviously from this year, even though they might end up with 11 wins, he can still throw for 250 and rush for 150 and beat you. So I think the Chiefs can lose to the Bills, who they beat. Bills going to get some revenge. They think they can lose to the Steelers and the Ravens.
Okay, when we're talking NFC, who's the guy? I mean, Packers, it all depends on Aaron Rodgers. I've seen this guy fall. He doesn't stay consistent. This year he has been consistent, but it depends all on Aaron Rodgers. It depends on which Aaron Rodgers shows up. I'm suspect there. I do believe in Russell Wilson. I do believe in Brady. And Breeze, again, he has his ups and downs as well. I think the team here that's going to make it, it's either going to be the Bucs or the Packers. And I think it's either the Bucs and the Chiefs or the Bucs and the Bills. But I think the Bucs and the Chiefs sounds like a better storyline. Future face of fantasy, not only fantasy, but reality football against the old face of football. Chiefs, Bucs, Brady wins it, retires. That's kind of my prediction. By the way, do you think Brady can retire this year?
I don't think so. I think he's got one more year.
One more year. So
I think so.
So he's got to get in this year then.
You never know if he wins it, but I mean, I think he would come back. I think he's coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
But, back to Green Bay, I mean, that's a tough team. But last year they got bulldozed by the Niners. The playoff football is different football, by the way.
Yeah.
But this year it's all about the pass, all about the offense. I mean, the Niners, they're not going to play the Niners. The Niners owned them in the playoffs last year. Green Bay has a bye, so they're going to have home field throw. They're not going to have home field advantage as far as the fans, but they will have the cold weather. Now, listen, New Orleans is a tough team, but they always flop too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a tough, Seattle, I feel like they'll win a game, then lose somehow in dramatic fashion in maybe the NFC Championship or something like that. Tampa Bay, if they avoid New Orleans, I think it's going to be tough. New Orleans, Green Bay, and Tampa. I mean, it's got to be one of those teams if you had to pick.
Seattle. I like Seattle.
I'm sorry, Seattle too. That's what I meant too. It's going to come down to those final four, right?
So none of these guys can crack in there. Rams, Bears, Washington, they don't have a chance. They're not on these guys' level. They're just not.
How did the Bears win a game? The defense. And I think the Bears, the problem is, I think Tampa Bay, I mean, I think they did lose to the Bears. Tampa Bay, even though they're one of the most dangerous teams, they can lose, Washington, if they get out, I don't even know if Washington, they didn't even clinch it yet. The Cowboys might be in. So,
like you said, it's different in the playoffs. Can you imagine, the Cowboys get in, right? And they come in and beat a team like the Seahawks or something like that. That would be crazy, but it could happen.
Well, how does that happen? Ezekiel, it's 170 yards, right?
Yeah.
And they just control the line of scrimmage, a low-scoring game. Dalton, he's thrown for 300 a couple times this year, a few touchdowns. Last week, he had a big game.
But
he's capable.
Football. Anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen in the playoffs. I mean, you have to figure, Green Bay is going to win the first game, get to the – I don't know, though, because I think Tampa wins that game in round one, and then – man, I don't know. You're going to have the Bears play the Saints. But see, I could see the Bears beating the Saints more because the Saints always flop, right? Yeah. Remember a couple years ago, Minnesota? I can see them losing early. I'm not going to say I see Green Bay. I could see New Orleans will end up playing somebody like the Rams if they make it even, or who knows what their seeding is going to be. So we don't know who's going to be where because we got three teams fighting for two spots.
Okay, so let's hear your playoff picture. Let's talk about your Super Bowl prediction. So I got Chiefs, Bucks. That's the final. Young versus old. That's my prediction. What is yours? I'm really curious here.
It's hard to not pick the Chiefs, but I think somehow this year I think I'm going to go with Buffalo just because they're on fire. I don't think they're the best team right now. I still got them underneath Kansas City.
I'm rooting for Buffalo. I really am.
Yeah, so am I. But I think that the problem is the AFC is tough. You figure the NFC's got those four teams, right?
Yeah.
That are going to be fighting for it. But in the AFC, all 7 teams that get in can beat anybody.
Correct.
Now, even Cleveland, they put up 40 points if they get their receivers back. I mean, could they keep up with the Chiefs? Probably not. But on any given day, yes, they can. It's not like they're going to be playing except the only team who I don't like in the AFC is the Dolphins. I don't think they can. Any team on the AFC can get into the Super Bowl. Probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 teams. The Ravens, the Steelers, the Bills, the Chiefs, possibly the Titans or the Colts.
Yeah.
But because but I don't think the Dolphins really stand a chance. I don't think the Browns can take it to the Super Bowl, but I think if they get in the playoffs, they can win a game. So I'm going to go Buffalo. I'm going to go Buffalo At this point, Buffalo, Tampa.
That's what I think. Either Buffalo, Tampa, Chiefs, Tampa. That's what I'm kind of like. Maybe
It's
the
hard,
Seahawks.
though, man, because to me, Green Bay resembles Buffalo. They're on fire. Both of
Yeah.
those teams.
But we see that all the time. Team goes on fire, and then they're just like,
Yeah.
they flop in the playoffs, right? We see that.
But that, and also it's about matchup. Remember how we said if New Orleans plays Tampa, can Tampa even score against them? They can barely score. But Buffalo, do they have a chance against Kansas City? Like, they beat them pretty good, early in the season. So I'm not too sure. That's a matchup. I don't know if I kind of want to see how I want to see the Ravens. I'm not a Ravens fan, as you know, but I do think they can cause some damage and upset like the Chiefs or the Bills early in because of Lamar.
I'm beyond excited. Playoff football is around the corner. We just got to power through Week 17. There's gonna be a lot of questions. There's gonna be a lot of answers as well. So let's just really quickly here go over the power rankings here and talk about this. So who do you have at number? Let's go with the 5. A top 5 power ranking. I'll do mine first, I guess. Or do you want to go first? Top 5 rank.
I'm going Kansas City 1.
Yeah.
I just feel like Kansas City 1 is the way to go. Even though I win the Super Bowl, they're 14-1. They look like the best. I mean, they haven't played great last week or recently, but maybe they don't have as much to play for because they know they got that 1 seed, They're definitely not the hottest team, but I'm going KC 1, Buffalo 2, Green Bay 3.
Yeah.
Green Bay 3. See, it sucks because, Steelers come up with a big win, but I think they're on the outside looking in. I'm going Saints at number 4 just because they pretty much keep winning. They had that bad loss against Philly. And at number 5, is it Pittsburgh or is it Seattle or is it Tampa? And I don't think it's Tampa. I think you have to go Seattle.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to count the Steelers out. They're not going to be my top 5 because they lost to the Bengals. I have zero respect for those assholes for losing. So I'm going to go with Chiefs, Bills, Packers, Bucks, Seahawks. That's what I got. I think the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think their record is kind of not reflecting how good they really are. Come playoff time, it's Tom Brady, the experience. I think the offense is going to be good. Unless something catastrophic happens, I mean, they've got all the weapons to succeed this year. So Buccaneers, and again, I think the Seahawks as well. Russell Wilson's experience is there. I don't really believe in the Saints. I just don't. I don't know what it is about him. I think it's Breeze, the inconsistency, Taysom Hill coming in, and maybe I'm a little biased because I hate the quarterback by committee bullshit that's going on right now. I don't like the Saints, period. I just don't like Drew Brees. I don't like the offense. I don't like anything about him. So, again,
but they have a more balanced team this year. They have a better defense.
Yeah. Kamara looks good,
The thing with the Saints is I think they can compete and beat anybody.
Yeah.
But they could also lose to the shitty teams, Yeah. Like you don't see Green Bay losing to a shitty team. You don't see Kansas City losing to a shitty team, although they came close a few times this year. That's the problem with the Saints. Like you can see, they lost to the Eagles, the overrated Jalen Hurts. Like you just don't see, but then they're close, then they come back, at least they bomb the Vikings on Christmas. I think it was Christmas Day, right?
Yeah.
But you just, I just feel like the Saints, can lose early in the playoffs. They always have that stigma, and they have to beat it.
Games to watch that I'm looking at right now. Washington, Eagles, that means something. Rams, Cardinals, that means something. Who else means something?
A lot. Dolphins, Bills, all the AFC 10-5 teams. The Browns, Steelers, huh?
Indy has to win. Jacksonville, that's a must watch.
Well, yeah, Tennessee is not a lock. They had a bombed last week. Indy,
Cleveland's got to win.
Yeah, Miami's Ravens, Bengals.
Miami's not going to beat Buffalo unless they rest Allen, right?
Yeah, that's the only way I would see that happening. And they're kind of weird. They barely beat the Raiders last week, remember? And they pulled Tua, put in Fitzpatrick. I don't know what they're doing over there. I think they're just hanging on by luck. They're not a great team. They're probably a mediocre team, but they have a couple lucky wins and last week, and it kept them in the playoff hunt, and they could easily sneak in. Who do they play? The Patriots, who are you feel like the Patriots have given up.
Patriots have given up. No, Miami's playing Buffalo next week.
I'm sorry. Miami's playing Buffalo. You're right.
Yeah,
Jets are playing Patriots. Yeah. You got the Cowboys, Giants.
That's gonna be a rival game. That's gonna be a hard fought.
Will the Cowboys win? I don't know who wins the tiebreaker, but if the Cowboys win and Washington loses, the Cowboys are in.
Yeah, I heard that.
You got some meaningless games like the Raiders and Broncos. Chargers, Chiefs really doesn't mean much. Cardinals Rams is probably one of the biggest games. I mean, losers probably out, right?
This is interesting. Hold on a second. You may or may not know this. So who is it? The Cowboys. The Giants. So let's just say the Giants are 5-10. Cowboys are 6-9. Let's say the Giants win that game and Washington loses. I think Washington still gets in, right? Because they both.
I think so.
I think so. There'd be a tie.
Yeah, because they beat the Giants twice, right?
I think so.
No, they beat them once. I don't know. I think the Giants are eliminated.
Yeah, I think the Giants are done anyway. But they're saying,
Yeah, because I don't think they
in the
can win a
bubble. We
tiebreaker.
need like a crazy scenario for them to win. I don't know how that plays out. That's a good question.
You're basically saying if the Giants right now win, they're going to be 6-10, and the Cowboys and Washington lose, there will be 3 6-10 teams in that division.
Exactly. What happens?
And then Philadelphia wins, they'll be 5-10-1. I mean, that's out of control. That's a terrible division.
So what happens if there's a 3-way tie? Who takes it? It's the team that beat the other team, is it not?
Yeah, a 3-way tie. I don't know how it's 3-way. I mean, usually goes head-to-head competition. Then it goes, I think, division record. So probably will go division record.
Maybe we'll have to. I'll talk to my Cowboys fan today. He's a Cowboy ambassador. I'll ask him how this plays out. But I mean, I'm really interested in my Washington ambassador. But again, there'd be a 3-way tie if the Giants win and the Washington loses. So that's going to be an interesting thing. I don't think it'll play out like that, though. I think the Cowboys can beat the Giants anyway. And Washington, I mean, man, that's a disaster. They should win this week as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Alex Smith is playing. See, they actually would have won this division, I don't want to say easily, but Alex Smith hasn't played. They were playing good with him.
Yeah.
And they probably would have won this division already if it wasn't for his injury. And, you know, that's what you get, though. I mean, he's had those leg injuries. I don't know if this is related or not. They say, no, it's a calf, but it's still a leg. I don't know if it's compensation, whatever. I'm not going to discuss that too much, but I don't think he's playing this week either, right?
Yeah. Well, I heard Mike Glennon is starting for Jacksonville. I'm just reading some latest news and notes here as well. Big Ben will sit. I'm just reading some stuff here. Cole Beasley, lower body. He's got some lower body injuries. Just looking at some news here. Nothing really that'll impact a lot of these teams. But again, Josh Allen, that's my concern. Will he be playing? I hope so. I really do.
Yeah. I think you have
him up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big one. But yeah, back to Washington. I don't know if Alex Smith is playing or not, but that's massive. They do need him. And they released Haskins, who, I mean, he went from first string to third string to not even on the roster.
Right.
You know, talk about a downfall. And he's not horrible. He's not a great quarterback, but he's good enough to be a backup. But he doesn't have it in his head right now, you know, off the field, stuff like that. It's just, I think when he got demoted, I think that he kind of took himself mentally out of the game. So I think he'll end up somewhere. I think he'll be a backup. I think someone maybe like Indy gives him a shot or something next year. They're going to, you know, they might not have a quarterback. He'll get a shot as a backup, and he might be okay with the right team. He needs a good line. He's not horrible if he grows into a good backup is what I think. But, you know, it's just a tough one because you got backup quarterback all over the NFC at this point. And, you know, all over the NFC East. I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say. It's just terrible.
I'm beyond excited. NFL Week 17 is here. You heard our predictions. You heard our preview. You heard our Super Bowl predictions as well and the power rankings. Tom, I got to go watch these games, man. I'm getting excited here. I got to go ramp up. I know it's early in the week, but I can't wait, man. And we don't have a Thursday night game, unfortunately, do we?
No Monday night, no Thursday night. No.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
Oh, because it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it is New Year's Eve. I forgot about that. See, I'm not even focused. I'm so focused on football. I'm forgetting.
And that's they'd have a couple Saturday. Oh, and I think they want everyone to play on Sunday because there's so many games on the line, so they don't want teams to like not compete when they play. You know what I mean? Like if you're already out of the playoffs, that's why they try to put the games on at the same time that they're competing, so they don't, you know, just give up.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a really good point as well. Never thought of that. But yeah, you think about it, from Christmas to New Year's, you kind of lose track of what day it is and what you're supposed to be doing. I saw a meme on that. It's funny. All right, guys, smash thumbs up. We are out. Thanks, Tom, for being here. NFL Week 17. There you have it. I'm excited. Subscribe and get the 16-round draft for a chance to win, of course, that Zoom call with Chris Johnson. Tom, we're out, man. Thank you.